half of Canada's grizzly bears live in British Columbia. Before the Europeans arrived, the grizzly's home stretched from the northwest of Canada to the South American border. Today, there are only a few isolated populations, which are scattered over the territory according to their feeding habits. The grizzly is now considered a species of special concern. That's one of the reasons that encouraged Garth Mowat's interest in this little-known mammal.
I began to research grizzlies in 1996, and most of my work consisted in making inventories for managers who wanted to know how many bears were in this park or that hunting ground. I did that all over British Columbia and Alberta. That was the start of my grizzly research.
Garth Mowat's research is based on studying grizzlies' DNA. While telemetry provides a way to monitor a few individuals over a small territory, DNA offers the possibility of studying several populations over a vast surface area of more than 10,000 square kilometers. Garth is en route towards the Flathead Valley Base Camp to join researcher Bruce McClellan. For around 30 years, Bruce has been studying a small population of grizzlies which lives mainly in the mountains. Garth takes advantage of the long journey to spot telltale signs of the presence of bears.
A rub tree has two purposes. One, to mark a territory, and two, for the male, it can be used as a warning during the mating season. There are lots of rub trees in a male grizzly's territory. I'm looking for trees that are used year after year. We want no more than one tree per kilometer, because when they're too close together, it's often the same grizzly rubbing the trees.
When he finds a rub tree, Garth notes its location. Then he wraps the tree in barbed wire. When the bear returns to scratch, hairs from its thick fur coat will snag on it without harming the animal.
This is a sample, and that's a pretty good sample. I think it'll work for DNA analysis, as there are lots of hairs. I can see roots coming out, and there's DNA in the roots. If you gather lots of hair, it's like you're grabbing lots of individuals and making an inventory. If you repeat this, you can estimate the reproduction rate of the population. You can estimate the mortality rate. You can estimate the population trajectory. But some years, you have to repeat the inventory, and that's what I do.
Garth must hurry, as there are still stations to visit and a few hours' drive through the mountains before arriving at base camp. Bruce McClellan is conducting a study in the Flathead Valley region on a population of grizzly bears made up of some 80 individuals.
soon as the light goes down.
The study area covers 500 square kilometers. A dozen females are currently equipped with radio collars, but the researcher would need around 20 under observation.
That's it. I got everything I need.
Okay.
Most of my research is on species and issues that we consider to be provincially significant and challenging. And the main thing we try to find out is what are the factors that limit their numbers? What is going on to make them rare, if they are rare, and why aren't there more? So you want to look at both the factors that kill them, why they die, and also factors that make them have babies, reproduce, survive well too.
The objective of the mission is to fit radio collars to 5 young females which have not yet had any young. It's an ambitious objective in just 3 days.
We pass in a helicopter and monitor the blueberry regions, hoping to see a bear. And it's the only season when they're sufficiently grouped and they're predictable. In other words, we know they'll be in a certain habitat.
All day, Garth and Bruce overfly the territory. No trace of grizzlies. When the sun goes down on the horizon, the 2 men must resign themselves and head home to base camp. They only have 2 days left in which to mark the 5 females. Garth Mowat and Bruce McClellan are getting ready for a second day's expedition in search of female grizzlies. The Flathead Valley region is an important habitat for grizzlies because it is the link between several populations in British Columbia, Alberta, and the United States.
Focus of my research with grizzly bears, it's more what factors limit their numbers in an industrialized landscape, like areas where, like this one, which has been very heavily logged and it's had a lot of oil and gas exploration, it's had a lot of mining exploration, it's got hunters and fishermen and recreationists all here. So, you know, what are the major factors that cause the populations to go up and down?
Garth and Bruce have finally spotted a female. After putting her to sleep, they have around 30 minutes in which to take samples and measurements and fit a telemetry collar.
So this is probably a 3 or 4 year old female. So she hasn't had cubs yet, she's not full grown. But this is the perfect bear, what we're interested in.
It's not an adult. She's an adolescent. We'd like to know at what age she will have her first baby. We also want to fit a collar to find out how long she will survive, because we're very interested in the mortality rate.
Left, 5'2". Should be good, yeah, that's good.
The logged information is used to better understand the dynamics of grizzly bear populations. The comparison of data collected by Garth through the study of DNA and that of Bruce with telemetry enabled them to make unexpected discoveries.
Pretty, huh? Very nice little bear.
Bears are different from other mammals. They can grow throughout their lives. So for females, that's about the first 6 or 7 years of their lives. For the male, it can be 20 years. 90 kilos. We put a small piece of material on the face because the light bothers you when you sleep, and this cuts out the light a little.
Okay, so we're done.
Good, safe place. Better to have her in the shade.
We've now learned from research that a 100-kilo bear can still live by eating plants alone. But if they're bigger than 200 kilos, they'll have trouble gaining weight regularly. So, if a bear is bigger than 200 kilos, he'll need to eat meat during the year. Maybe not all year round. He might eat caribous in the spring or salmon in the autumn, but he'll need to eat meat during the year to add enough fat for the winter.
The researchers found that there were also significant differences between populations living in the mountains and eating mainly fruit, and those which live near rivers and eat salmon.
It's amazing the difference in the bears. Salmon make big bears. The bears are quite a bit bigger. The females will be double the size. And they look different. They'll have short fur often. And the mountain bears are smaller, but you know, the mountain bears eating huckleberries get fatter.
At the end of the second day, Garth and Bruce have only fitted one telemetry collar. The grizzlies have remained hidden in the forest, probably because of the heat, which does not suit them. They have only one more day in which to reach their goal.
After spending 6 weeks in my office, the best thing is just to get out and work on the ground for any reason at all. I love huckleberries. They're my favorite things. I can eat them all day long. It looks like a bear has only just passed by. He was a glutton. He ate everything.
Berries, just like salmon to certain populations, are essential for grizzly bears. This is what allows them to store the fat needed to survive the winter. Unfortunately, where you find fruit and salmon, you also find humans, which can lead to other problems. Garth Moat recognizes that the challenges ahead are daunting, but the solutions lie in a better understanding of grizzlies and their habitats.
I think that the thing that will be more difficult to manage for grizzlies in the future is human habitation. There are more and more rural and urban expanses. People living just about anywhere. So there's more loss of habitat, and there's also the effect you get from roads, from trains, from farms, from pets.
Certain communities are more likely than others to receive a visit from grizzly bears. That's the case with these towns surrounded by the Rocky Mountains, which provide an excellent habitat for the grizzly bears.
So this is a map of the area that we would look after. Fernie is located here, there's Sparwood and Elkford. Of course, with the grizzly bears, there's a lot of interaction here. So we have hunters, we have hikers, we have huckleberry pickers, we have a lot of people that are utilizing that wilderness that are interacting with those grizzly bears.
Wildlife conservation agent Joe Caravetta is working with Garth Moat. It's his job to protect natural resources while ensuring the safety of those who use the territory. He's the one they call should a grizzly bear attack anyone.
What we have here is just a demonstration of the difference between a black bear skull and a grizzly bear skull. So this one here that I'm holding up here, this is a black bear. And this would be an average-sized grizzly bear, not an overly big grizzly bear, but an average-sized grizzly bear. But this is a pretty good-sized black bear. We use these sometimes for identifying attacks on people. So when they bite into a person like that, we take those measurements off of a person. Hopefully they're not dead, but sometimes people do die from grizzly bear attacks. And we'll use those measurements to help us assist in identifying which grizzly bear had actually attacked that person, or if it was a black bear, because you can see the difference between the teeth.
There's a little side channel here. And they may be on the dogwood berries, or they might actually be on the fish in the side channel. Grizzly bear attacks are primarily defensive attacks. Quite often mums with cubs or a bear on a carcass. And if the person knows a little bit about bear behavior and what to do in a defensive attack, and that is to not aggravate the bear any further, to leave the area ideally. We should back up a little bit. It's okay, you're okay.
For several years, Gillian Sanders was a guide to grizzly observation in the wild. She is now coordinator of a program to raise awareness of the need to protect and respect grizzly bears. This leads her to work closely with Garth Moat.
Garth has been supportive of the project. I think Garth also sees the need towards human and grizzly bear coexistence, especially in threatened populations. For my project, I've been able to have the partnership between local biologists, the Conservation Officer Service of BC,
The programs to protect population of grizzlies, set up in the light of knowledge acquired, are already showing results. In recent years, grizzly bear populations have been increasing, which is causing problems of cohabitation with humans.
Now the new challenge is to manage to live with our success. We've been successful with conservation, the population is increasing, and now there are grizzlies coming into town. We'll have to learn to cohabit with this species. It's not a matter of hunting, it's a matter of cohabitation with certain species.
The expedition is coming to an end. Garth and Bruce have finally achieved their targets. Thanks to the new transmitter collars, they'll be able to gather extra data on the grizzly's lifestyle and draw up improved conservation plans. Even though he's aware of the challenges in store, that of grizzly bears and humans living in peaceful coexistence, Garth Moet remains confident.
We need to just get her up in the shade.
I'm optimistic about what's coming for my children and for the animals too, when I look at just the case of the grizzlies over the last 20 years. We just have to learn to make conservation more of a priority in our daily lives. Nevertheless, I remain optimistic.